purpose of this video is I'm going to be showing a little bit about what goes into designing a proper ambience bed for a video game project. This is just using the default Unreal Engine audio. So I have like a sound cue set up over here, which I'll go into in a minute. But essentially, for this project, I'm going to just start by playing the ambience so you can have a listen, and then I'll take you through what it took to make something like that. A little bit about the project too.
Hey, welcome. Before we begin, do we need to plan the lift?
So right now you can kind of hear the sort of tonal quality of the ambience bed, which is just to sort of set a tone and also have it give you a room tone in a spot like this. I'm going to eject from the player character just so that we can fly around and you can just listen to the ambience, which plays in 2D. But you get a sense for what sort of a world it's applied to. So there are some details of like the hammer beating on wood and a distant jackhammer, because this is a construction zone, right? But yeah, no, I'll go a little bit more in depth about what it took to actually craft a bed like this, because I feel like it's a fairly nebulous topic as far as like sound design is concerned. So here we have the ambience bed and one-shot trigger sound cue. I'm going to just open this up. So this matrix is what you're looking at in terms of the ambience, and so I've actually separated out one-shot triggers. Sometimes they're known as big worlds, or oftentimes just as like one-shot stingers. And the purpose of them is to add something to your ambience bed, right? So we have like hammering. There's a little bit of a rhythmic hammering audio clips here. I think I can play like just specific nodes. Single hammers. A tractor, right? It's got some panning motion built into it. And then the distant jackhammering, right? So typically the way that this goes as far as the sound cue is concerned in Unreal is that up here we actually have the bed elements themselves. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about what an actual ambience bed really is and sort of a room tone, a natural room tone anyways, because I feel like that's important and sort of not 100% understood. But yeah, so this is typically what you're looking at as far as like a sound cue setup, and like this took a few hours at least to perfect, right? In terms of like setting mix levels, there's like a mixer node in the sound cue between just these individual elements versus like just that element of the ambience mix versus this element of the ambient mix, right? The tractors or the jackhammers, right? We have some looping nodes in here. We have some modulators, which add some pitch variety and some delay offsets, so that it always feels random, but like not too like mathematical, but more like natural in terms of like how often things should play. Like if you sit here and listen to this ambience bed for like 2-3 minutes, it should feel natural that you're hearing things repeat at like a normal timing rather than just like very like mathematical almost, right? So yeah, I'm going to play these a little bit, just the ambience bed elements themselves. This is like the sub. Contains some wind, but it's a pretty fairly broadband sound, right? And then there's this one. This file contains a lot of the natural room tone that you'd get. A lot of the like low ends and the high ends are sort of supported, right? This one contains like more of the wind detail, but this one's got some cricket chirps and a lot of like sort of birds. And then what else have I got here? I've got something else too. So this is like a distant layer of traffic here, right? And yeah, so that's like what this sound cue actually consists of. Oh, you get some of the police siren in there too. But yeah, this took some time to perfect and mix it so that it sounds appropriately in the game. But this is typically what you would be dealing with, right? I just want to contrast that very sharply with if I pop open a Reaper session here and give you a listen to like some winds that just come out of a sound library, right? You can hear how these are like wind files, but they don't contain the same broadband bed sound that you would get like out of a natural room tone. Like this is not suitable as just like a background to your game, no matter how low the volume is, like something like this, right? Even though you would only want to use a wind like this for a specific type of mood also, right, to match a certain mood, but just throwing this in isn't going to suffice. Your bed has to have more like sort of depth in there to be believable that like this is like the world that we're hearing around us outside, right? Another example. This is mostly just wind, right? This is also mostly just wind. Like a howling texture quality. Anyways, that's about it for this one as far as like what it goes to design a proper ambience bed, and appreciate you checking it out and having a look.